Yeah. Yeah. When you're in touch with that softness, who you think you are disappears. Yeah, you don't have it's like you're that's the paradox is like you're empty of who you think you are. How like I think it's in more like Zen. They say like empty your mind, like be empty of yourself, be empty of ego. It's like you're empty, but at the same time you're filled with grace. You're full of grace. It's only when you're empty that you're full of grace. That's the paradox of it. That's when you have all that hardness, when you have the like all that identification in you, you're not an empty vessel for grace to flow through you. So like
It's
this,
funny.
like you're an instrument. It's like in everything, like cooking and dance and poetry and painting and uh, writing and gardening, all this stuff. It's like when you're empty, it's like you're an empty, it's like you're a flute, and grace is like the air that's flowing through the flute, and then music is created only
It's
because of
funny.
the emptiness of the
Yeah.
vessel of the flute.
It's funny though, because it's the me identity that wants the grace. It wants to be there with the grace.
Yeah, it's I
Mm.
mean, yeah, I it's something that just starts dissolving, even that, and that's because yeah, it can't get it can't, and your experience of it is what you is the experience of your true nature. Um, what you then tend to just like, and this is where it's so tricky with this stuff, like speaking about it, because it's like almost like the more you talk about it, the more the mind then turns it into a goal. It turns it in something to achieve. Where this is where, like I said, is like I didn't know what spirituality was. I wasn't into any groups or anything like that, following anything. But I enjoyed nature. I enjoyed it. You could see how the expression, is it's all it's through nature and stuff, right? And with the body, I love feeling the body, but it's in that then it's like you're actually enjoying the absence of who you think you are. That's what I mean, that's like the happiness. But the whereas the mind then wants, it's like I want to be there with happiness. But if you look at any of your experiences of happiness, which you've had, right? Everyone knows happiness. Um, when you really look at it, there's nobody there that's claiming happiness. There's never a you and happiness. You are the happiness.
Mm.
And if you don't see that clearly, then you will always create this goal that the mind wants to get happiness, and it will project it into the future, and it will associate the happiness with some sort of um, activity, person, or um, substance. And it's not like that. That's why the clarity of seeing that starts to just basically break down that belief, because you're basically seeing clearly the reality, seeing it as it is, and that's the only thing that is going to destroy the belief, because a belief is what you think is reality. It's something that you believe to be true, whereas you just have to experience the truth of it. Is there really, in your moments of happiness, is there really a you that's there, that's happy?
No.
No. The happiness is the absence of who you think you are, because
Mm.
who you think you are it's synonymous with suffering. And that's what happiness is. Happiness is the absence of suffering.
Yeah, because the mind associates it with the acquisition of something, someone, or certain circumstances. It puts a condition. If I get this, then I'll be happy. And that's a thought and a belief.
Yeah. Because when you're happy, you're not like trying to get anything.
And when you're happy, you don't even say, I am happy, because you
Exactly.
just are.
It just is.
Mm.
That's why it like another way is like where it's kind of it's funny and it's not, but the mind pretends to be happy. That's how when you start basically having more, clarity and you see through this, you see how even these circles of positive affirmations, it's like you're just fooling yourself. It's
It's a step
actually
out.
it's actually there's
Yeah.
the ultimate misery is when you're unhappy and you're pretending to be happy.
And
You're
it's hard work as well, because you might be saying an affirmation, but your feelings are telling you the opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're
And
trying to
and
convince
that's
yourself.
exactly. I think I made a video about it. I think I called it like the happiness trap. But it's just you're avoiding facing that reality that you're unhappy right now.
Mm.
And instead of facing that reality, you're trying to basically swap like an unhappy thought for a happy thought. And that
And the feeling will always, yeah, override that thought anyway, because feelings tend to feel are stronger.
Mhm.
If you're telling yourself 20 times in the mirror, I'm happy, but inside you just feel miserable, it's
Yeah.
like the feeling overrides the thought. So,
Yeah. Well, you'll experience what everyone calls depression because you're suppressing how you actually feel.
mm,
Depression is suppression. You're suppressing that instead of actually feeling it. It's like, no, I don't want this, and you try and cover it up with a happy label. That's what's happening.
it's just another form of resistance then on top of,
It is.
yeah.
It is. And that's what suffering is suffering is the aversion and the and clinging to something. So your aversion, meaning I don't want to feel this unhappiness. And now I'm trying to cling to these positive affirmations. It's like I'm trying to brainwash myself. I'm not unhappy. I'm not, if I continue to say I'm happy, I am love, I am happy. That's where you see, and you see this even in like higher level um,
Mm.
spiritual circles too, where it's like they have like they hear like the teacher say it. They'll hear someone just say it's like there's no power behind it. It's just words because they're just regurgitating what a scripture has said or what some other teacher has said. And then it's like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. And then now it's like, let me just continue saying that. You're not, you won't experience the truth by trying to brainwash yourself into saying like, I am love, I am peace, I am happy. Like it's not going to work like that. It doesn't matter how much you affirm it. It's not, the truth doesn't need to be affirmed. It's the truth. A lie needs to be affirmed.
Mm. And then on kind of on the other side of the spectrum, when people get what they want, or they've been waiting for so long, like to meet the ideal partner or the job or the house or whatever, and then they get like you actually hear them say, oh, I'm so happy, and in that moment they do look happy because the desire and the seeking and the striving has fallen away because the objects arrived. So even that, it's the mind is elating that feeling of feeling happy, because then they're, and the people who are like that, then they go on Facebook and start writing how happy they are and how their life has fallen into place and they've manifested all their dreams. But then when something goes wrong in their life, they tend to fall really, they go the other way into deep depression because they were so happy like 2 months ago. So they go from one extreme to the other instead of kind of just staying neutral and just
Yeah.
enjoying whatever's come. But they go the other way and they have to like shout it from the rooftops and let everybody know how wonderful their life is. And then they go quiet because something's happened. Then they've gone underground and you don't hear from them again.
Yeah. There's a clinging to a high and a resisting a low. But what you essentially are is prior to high and lows. So before there's a high, before there's a low, you are. What you essentially are is before high and low. Right? Neutrality is before positive and negative. If you're clinging to a positive experience, then it's just they're two sides of the same coin.
Because the pendulum is always going to swing if you're on that level attached to
Yeah.
happy, positive stuff. It's always going to swing to the other side at some point.
Yeah. The journey unfolds like this is basically there's a negativity. So there's a negativity, and then basically the journey comes into more positivity, and that's where you see like the positive affirmation. So it's there's nothing wrong with it. It's just part of it. It just doesn't work. I'm just pointing out it doesn't work, but it's part of the part of the process kind of thing. You know,
Mm.
people kind of early on in their journey, it's like there's drowning in this negativity. And then it's like, okay, well then, have kinder thoughts and speak nice to yourself. And okay, so that seems to shift to more positivity. But then, like I said, it's the positive vibes only. That's actually still suffering, right? Because then it's like I don't want any negativity, and now you're in resistance to that duality, which you can't. It's the acceptance of the duality that's free from suffering, not the resistance to it. So when you're resisting that negativity or the low or the failure or the down or whatever it is, when you're in resistance to that, you're still suffering, right? So then you go from negative to positive to then transcending both, which is this neutrality, the equanimity. That's basically how it unfolds like that. And a lot of people who are in that positive vibes only, they don't want to um, face that negativity, which is typically associated with shadow work, because they haven't transcended it. They've done is they've suppressed it. They haven't actually transcended the positive and negative. They've only felt like they've transcended the negative only because they pushed it down. And like that, it's like it springs up in their face. It's a rude awakening to then deal with that, because now you have to then see all of that which you have been avoiding. And that's like the start of like maturity, where then you're willing to see it no matter what.
And the shadow's not going to go away because I was just thinking the other day, even when you're walking on the pavement and it's a sunny day, if you look behind, your shadow is following you everywhere. So you
Yeah,
can't get rid of it just by positive thinking your way out of it.
you can't. It's you can't get rid of it. And um trying to get rid of it is suffering. It's actually embracing it.
Mhm.
It's loving it. It's embracing it. That's where there's the integration. You don't integrate. Like when people want to integrate the shadow, you can't integrate the shadow by trying to get rid of it. Right? It's like, no, you're integrating it because of including it, because of unconditional acceptance, unconditional love. But you have to then see what it is that you're including. If you don't want to see it, then it's always like this. You're always kind of pushing away and turning your head, sort of said metaphorically.
Mm.
And that's the stuff that like people just don't want to go there.
Yeah, because that doesn't sell books either.
No, I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean,